What's up guys, today's video is a little bit longer than usual. It's a full-on training session which took place in Amsterdam with my online client Jason Carnegie. Now I tried to compress this into a 10-minute video, but there was so much information which would have been left out, so I just decided to leave it as it is, raw, uncut, so you guys can take in all the valuable information which I speak about, and you can get a feel for what it's like if you were to train with me in person. So if you do enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. If there's any feedback which you want to give me, just leave a comment below. So after 8 months of training together online, it was great to actually finally coach him in person. So in the session today, we were able to go through any exercises which he'd had difficulty with. I was able to critique his form, find out any issues which he might have been having, and I was able to really push him, well beyond his level of comfort so he could really see the gains which he was after. We started off today's session with the wide grip lat pull down. Could have done pull-ups, but I really just wanted to see what Jason's technique was like when performing this exercise. So we did a couple of warm-up sets to get the lats activated, then we went into the working set. One thing which we're really trying to focus on is depressing the shoulders when we start the movement. Okay, so starting from up here, we're going to depress, then drive down with the elbows, almost with a slight intention of trying to get your elbows to meet behind your back. This is how we get a bigger back.
Yeah, sure it is.
We're doing 3-second eccentrics. So, press first, squeeze the lat, good, 3, 2, 1. Again, squeeze, 3, 2, 2. So with the 3-second eccentric, it just means that the working set is going to be much longer than what Jason is usually used to. It also gives him the time to really think about which muscles he's engaging when performing the movement. He's going to notice it's going to be a lot harder. His form was pretty good. Not much to critique, however, I would have said it would have been a little bit more effective if he could have just depressed his scapula a little bit more. If there's no scapular depression, it's going to feel very sort of bicep and rear delt dominant. So you really have to have that intention of driving the shoulders down, followed by driving with the elbows. Whenever I'm performing this exercise, I don't use straps, but I do wrap my thumbs around the bar to limit that bicep engagement. What I used to think back in the day was try my very best to drive the bar towards my upper chest, get it as low as possible, but I found that this really kind of defeats the purpose of keeping the tension on the lat. I would often move the tension onto my front delt and actually cause a bit of internal rotation. So now my intention is really just to bring the bar to my chin and drive those elbows behind my back and squeeze that contraction.
It's tasty. Whew. Feel it in your forearms as well. Feel it everywhere. Feel it in my soul.
Right.
Alright, what's next?
One more set. This is the last set. So this is the set. We've given it every single thing we've got in this last set. I'm going to help him when he reaches failure on the concentric phase. Now, not everyone has a training partner. Even when it comes to my own training, I train by myself most of the time. And I feel like my potential for growth is limited when you don't have a good training partner. If you can have somebody there to assist you once you reach failure, to just gently help you reach that fully shortened position and hold and squeeze the contraction, this is really where the magic is going to happen. Those final few reps on the very last set, when you're really pushing yourself to failure, you have your training partner gently assist you. This is where you're going to cause the greatest level of stress. You're going to cause the greatest level of muscle damage. And usually when I've had a training partner do this for me, the following few days I have much greater level of back DOMs compared to, say for example, if I was to have trained by myself.
It's a good workout.
So we're done now?
Done.
So we're going to go for pronated grip. Hands about shoulder width apart. Okay. Now we want to try and target the mid-back. We don't want too much trap, so I'd probably say back at about 45 degrees.
Okay.
You should feel a pull on your hamstrings when you get into this position. Right? So I don't want you to be like that. You're kind of pushing your ass out. Feel a pull on your hamstrings in the solid position here to row. Same thing again. You can initiate by pulling back to begin with, and then driving the elbows high. So you're not bringing your elbows into your side, but you're not flaring them completely. It's about in between. So about here, which is about my belly button. Massively feeling the squeeze when I do that. So as you come down, you're almost completely relaxing, dropping the shoulders, back up, squeeze, relax, back up, squeeze.
So with this one, I'm not going to be too strict with the tempo. Just like 2 seconds down. So 1, 2, drive up, squeeze. Aim for about 1 second. I don't mind if it's a little bit less. Let's put some plates on. Head down. So I want you to just constantly look at the floor so your head to be in line with the torso. So a big temptation for people is to look ahead of them in the mirror to try and watch their form, but that's not something you want to do. You'll put strain on your neck. The best thing for you to do is just to pick a point on the ground which you're going to stare at. There's no need to watch yourself do it. You just visualize your back moving. And if you really want to watch your form or see what your back is doing, just record yourself. Because if you just try and look in front of the mirror, you're not going to see anything. You're just going to see your face and your shoulders. Aiming for 8 solid reps. So before I actually get going with my working weight, I will build it up. So I'll do a couple of reps, just like an activation set with a bar, put a few plates on, do maybe another 6 reps, short rest in between, couple more plates on, build it up, and then I'll fully rest. As soon as I've got my breath back, I'll go into the working set. Oh my God. When you see those black dots, it's always a good sign. You gotta watch out for as well. Yeah. When you row, I don't want that to happen. I don't want any crooked wrist. It has to be like. Right. One thing which Jason could have improved upon is his wrist positioning. Okay, when he was rowing, his wrists were slightly crooked at the top of the rep. Now, obviously, it is a heavy weight for him. But even saying that, if you compare his position at the top of the rep compared to my position at the top of the rep, my wrists are in line with my forearms. And if you're doing it like this, you're going to cause a bit of discomfort in your wrists and you're going to place less tension on the back. How can you fix this? Well, I would say try to think about really driving the elbows back and not trying to pull that weight to your waist with your hands, okay? Simply just by thinking with that mindset can completely change the way you row. So obviously, like, the last 2 reps just feel
like nothing.
Pointless, but you're still working.
Yeah. All right.
There is a bit of a drawback with this exercise. You can't really have a spotter to help assist you once you reach failure. You just kind of have to grit it out and do the best you can. In terms of the grip position, I'll often rotate it. A couple of weeks I'll do pronated and a couple of weeks I'll do supinated, so I do mix up. I don't think one is going to be, more advantageous than the other. It really just depends on how well you execute the exercise. I do believe that the bent over row is for everyone. Everyone should be able to execute it properly, even if you have lower back issues or lower back pain. The reason that is often because it's just weak in the first place. So don't neglect exercises which require you to work your lower back.
Last one. Power.
Ah, nice. Good. Personal best for Jason.
By far.
Basically, my goal today is to make your back sore for 5 days.
Okay, it's gonna be hard when I'm like laying on the floor, unconscious, in no pain.
So usually, what I'll do after there's been any kind of exercise which has loaded the lower back, it's unlikely I'm going to go on to another lower back exercise, so I won't go straight into deadlifts after this. So we're going to do 1 arm plate row, just to give the lower back a bit of rest. What we're going to do with this one here, you're going to put your elbow here, right? Which is going to mean your chest is about 2 inches further away. So it means that we can get a better stretch. Right. So if we're like that, at this point, my lat can still lengthen a little bit more. Whereas if we go like that, I'll be able to fully lengthen it. And then retract. Fully lengthen. And then retract. So if you come around here, the ideal position we want to finish in is something like that, where the elbow's at 90 degrees. I'm driving this towards my hip to really target my lower lat. New shape, pull the shoulder back first, squeeze, relax, nice, lengthen, retract. Feel it?
Yeah.
You get a bit of contraction with this one.
Yeah.
I can already feel he's contracting his right lat more efficiently. Tends to be the case with quite a lot of people. Usually have one side either stronger than the other, or just the mind-muscle connection's stronger with one side. I would always start off with the weaker side first, because when you come around to do the second side, you're a little bit fatigued. So one of the best ways to overcome that slight imbalance, whether it be in size or just the mind-muscle connection, is just to do more volume on that weaker side. So do more sets if you need to do more sets. If you just need to go to the gym and practice, you know, with a very lightweight and teach yourself how to engage the weaker side more, then do it.
Hold it. 8.
All the way, all the way, all the way. We're going for 12, 3 more. 3. 2, control it, control it, control it. Last one. Big pull, big pull, big pull, big squeeze. Control it, control, 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 control. All right. This is another exercise where having a spotter can really be beneficial. As you pull that weight towards you, it gets harder and harder the closer the handle is to your torso. So what I'm getting a training partner to do is just to really assist me when I am struggling to really shorten that muscle. So that slight assistance at the top is allowing me to really get a good squeeze on it. And again, I can just really control the eccentric phase by myself. I need a training partner every day.
Too easy.
That little inch makes all the difference.
I hear you.
Right, so the next exercise we're going to go on to is the rack deadlift. We're not going to do a full deadlift. This is basically the top 2/3 of the movement. Now, what my intention is going to be when I'm doing this exercise is to perform a constant lat spread. So my hands are going to be quite wide, and I'm literally just going to be going down like this, and then pulling with my back. I really don't want to be using too much of my legs during this movement. Obviously with the deadlift, it's the full body. With the rack deadlift, you're going to lean forward, pull back. And the hardest point in the movement here is where you're going to be tempted to drop your shoulders, but we're going to try and keep them fixed the whole time. Now, Jason has had lower back issues before, and a lot of people have them, and I don't ever want that to be a deterrent for someone for training any exercises which actually require you to use your lower back, because you do need to strengthen it, especially if it is a weakness. So even if it means you're just doing this exercise with the bar, you know, just do it, right? Don't go crazy with it, but just kind of ease yourself back into it after any kind of back injury to rebuild any damaged muscles. So, lat spread, yeah, keep the shoulders back the whole time. Step forward a little bit more, otherwise you go all the way down to the ground.
Yeah, that would be good. Bad.
Feel it all across your upper back, sorry. Look down, I want you to straighten the bar a little bit. Similar to the bent over row, you just need to make sure that you keep your head down to the ground and just pick a point which you can stare at so that you're not straining your neck throughout the movement. And I would also say it makes it easier if you're looking down at the bar. You can ensure that when you do make contact with the barriers, that the bar is completely straight, because to begin with, the bar was making contact with the barriers at a slight angle, so you are going to be placing more tension on one side compared to the other. Just so we're not being too reckless. I would always be careful when you're picking the weight up to begin with, because that tends to be the messiest rep of all. So just ensure that your spine is neutral. Use your legs if you need to, just to get the weight up, and then you can get yourself into position at the very top of the movement. Really keep those shoulders back, and like I said, just keep a lat spread and lower the weight until you touch the barrier. If you can't keep your shoulders back, you're not doing the exercise properly. There is a weakness in your back muscles, so you just have to lower the weight. With the Postscript Pulldown, you are going to feel a little bit more bicep engagement, but that's all right. Don't be too concerned if that's the case, but again, it's the same thing. You want to try and almost relax at the top, still keep the tension, and then you're depressing the shoulders, driving the elbows down, and then right at the bottom, trying to rip the attachment apart. Out of all the vertical pulling exercises you can choose from, I would say that the close grip isn't up there with my favorites, yet it's still effective. Training partner's not even paying attention to my exquisite form. You know, when you're bringing it back up, I'm still really feeling it in my lats. Like I'm making sure that I'm not fully relaxing them and letting the tension spread to like my arms. It's like I'm still doing a lat spread on the way up. Now, first of all, look at me, you went like that straight away. Focus more on doing, just driving the elbows down. There we go. Last one. My head was going to explode then. If your body's at not necessarily 45 degrees, that's too much, but just a slight angle, it changes the angle which you're rowing the dumbbell up, so you can target more of your lower lats. So if we were completely flat, like that, it's much easier for you to row like that and try and hit like your upper back, your trap, or your rear delt. But with the focus of this exercise, which I want to work on, is going to be the lower lat. In order to do that, you kind of have to row at a slight angle. When the weight gets really heavy, it gets harder to row at an angle. Bring it down. To be honest, this could do with being elevated like that. And then naturally, you're rowing up, your torso's at an angle, so it's much easier to hit the lat. Oh, nearly. Oh. Nearly. There's two ways of doing it. Some people, they like to do that. You can put your foot behind you, but my ankle mobility is horrendous. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm on my tiptoe because I'm not in a stable position. So I like to bring my foot out, bring my hips out, because if I bring my hips too close here, I make the weight relatively lighter. I want to make the weight as heavy as it can be. So I'm in this position, and I'm just going to row it right towards my hip. I like to ensure that my upper body's high enough to allow myself to get a full stretch. It's one of the reasons why I like this to be slightly elevated, because if this was further down and the bench was flat, I would hit the ground with the dumbbell before my lat is fully lengthened. Put your hand on it. Bring that knee a little bit higher up. Yeah. So let's, before you grab it, let's just go through the motion first. Lower back and right, ass out. Okay. So like chest height. Then see, this is an AQ angle. Yep. Right, I want you to finish up there. Yep. Not like that. Yep. Too much bicep to do that. Yep. Yeah. Imagine when you row, you're trying to bring your elbow behind your back a little bit. Yeah.
Like many exercises, you need to get your posture and positioning correct before you even start rowing. If your posture's not right, your positioning's not right, then the entire set which you do is going to be not necessarily a waste of time, but its overall effectiveness isn't going to be anywhere near as good as it needs to be in order to get the very most out of this exercise.
You know what we said about like maxing out on our potential to be as big as possible? Yeah. Your form has been pretty much spot on for a lot of these exercises. But you notice how, obviously I'm lifting more.
You're pushing me to go.
Yeah. If you want to grow, you've just got to lift heavier. And you definitely have the capability of lifting heavier. Obviously with like deadlifts and rack deadlifts, it's a little bit sketchy because of your lower back. Right. But everything else, there's no reason why you can't.
I'm on it.
What really stood out to me when I was training with Jason is that his form is good compared to a lot of people who I coach in person. There wasn't nowhere near as much to correct as there usually is. One thing which can really benefit him is just really stepping out of his comfort zone. In a lot of the exercises which we did today, I had to kind of encourage him to be lifting more. And even though he was afraid that his form was going to slip, it really didn't. So the focus for Jason moving forward is really just to ramp up the weight a little bit. We've spent months perfecting form. I'm happy with his form. Now I want him to take it to the next level in terms of the weights he's lifting.
I want to do shrugs. I want to see what he likes shrugs. And that's pretty much all the main ones which I want to go through. Yeah. I would ideally like to have racked it from the cage, but it's just not happening today.
So we finished off the routine with some shrugs. I do feel like shrugs are one of the best exercises you can do in order to build thick traps. You need big, thick traps in order to have a big, aesthetic looking back. Now, I do like to use the hex bar because I do feel that a neutral grip allows for a greater range of motion. The straight bar is still good, but I do find the hex is a little bit better. When you do perform this exercise, you got to keep your elbows straight. So your arms are completely relaxed. You're only using your traps and elevating your shoulders. Okay, if you try and think about lifting that weight up and bending the elbows, obviously you're going to recruit a bit of your bicep.
Form's good, just the last 2 reps were kind of crappy. You want to flare out? You want to flare out?
The effectiveness of a lot of the exercises which we've done in this routine is really going to be determined by your range of motion in your shoulder. Okay, so if you struggle to naturally just elevate and depress your shoulder or protract and retract it, you're obviously going to limit the range of motion in the working muscles. So that is something which you will need to work on. I'm probably going to have to do a separate video on that because I don't have time to talk about it in this one, but that could potentially again be a slight limiting factor with Jason, as there's certain exercises whereby he struggles to get that full range of motion, which I am able to do.
Six. Go on. 7. Good. Let's dig deep. All the way. Nice. There's 2 more. Come on. Up. Squeeze them. Ah. The end. Pow. It's finished. Finished. And I was very impressed today. Very, very impressed. The one thing I would say is you can lift heavier than you think.
Okay, all right, yeah, fair enough. So are you gonna come spot me then? I'm not doing those rows on my own.
You did them really good.
Okay.
So all I would say is moving forward is just
Heavier,
but
Yeah.
obviously with the lower back stuff, don't go
Right.
too crazy.
right?
But I do think there's a lot of potential for your back to blow up,
So heavier, keep the form.
fly away.
Yeah.
So it was a pleasure
Next year.
training Jason. We're probably going to get some food now, maybe a burger.
Starving.
We'll see. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the trip, my man.
I will.
Spot on,
Until
bro.
the next few countries. Yeah.